So just a quick intro to this last video in the series, the one I was doing previous to this. I ran out of time and I just cut it off in mid-sentence. It went long and I'm sorry about that, but this is a lot to unpack. So if you are catching this one, realize that there's a whole bunch of videos before this one of me talking about a covert narcissist, my experience living with a covert narcissist, all the way from the initial steps of the love bombing in the beginning to the gradual decay of the emotional attachment and emotional abandonment, and then using it as a weapon, and thinking that my tears and my anger and my my reaction is just a way to manipulate him, and that I'm the narcissist, and this whole schmear, how it untangles. Go back and watch the entire series, but this is where we're going to wrap it up right here. It made him angry that somebody was helping me. Now, there's no way that you can tell me that. See, that's what set this whole thing off. When I realized that this person who I trusted was angry because other people were helping me instead of kicking me when I was down. They were actually going to help me. He did everything he could to sabotage the agreement, and he succeeded. He sabotaged it. It's done. It's dead. It's dead in the water. Everything, every contract, everything that we had planned so far, they have walked away from it because they don't want to deal with him. They see through it. And so I knew right then. Now, let me just interject and say we've come up with some other solutions. And I've got a video about that, so life's not over. But the thing about it is that who would do that? So when I talked to him after that, I said, I need to talk to you again tonight. This is terrible. This is a terrible situation. And we need to talk about this. You signing over temporary limited power of attorney so I can proceed with this. I never heard another word from him. The last message I left for him, voice message anyway, I was crying. I couldn't even breathe. I was doing the snap, crying. How could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? We're going to have to foreclose on this farm, and you know how much I love it. How could you do this to me? You know what he did? He put one of those little emojis on there with a little tear. Who does that? Who does that? Still hasn't responded to me. Even when I told him we were foreclosing, and see, he loses everything in this deal. He had absolutely nothing to gain by any of this behavior. He loses everything, every dime of his investment, everything. And he'll never get it back. And he did that. He was so intent on getting the best of me and making sure that he had all the power in this relationship, that he was willing to lose everything financially, all of his assets. He was willing to burn all of that just to make sure he had the power as the relationship ended. And I explained that to my therapist. So guys, just let me say, if you're in a relationship with someone who makes everything your fault, who doesn't acknowledge your pain, and you can just be sitting there crying your eyes out, and they see you as a nuisance rather than, they don't believe your pain is real. They think you're using this as a show to manipulate them. And they don't offer you any comfort, and they don't offer you any assurance. And there's deception, and there's this inhuman coldness in a time of crisis, and this need to control you and have power over you, even at a loss to themselves. Don't stay in a relationship like that, guys.
You need to get and understand that even getting out of it, it's always going to always be your fault. This person is never going to understand that they contributed. This person is never going to take responsibility for the role they played in it, because everything was your fault. They were the victim. They're the ones who lost. They're the ones who suffered. They're the ones who... It's always going to be your fault. And I am so sad that it took me this long to realize it. And I'm so sad that I had to ostensibly lose everything to get to that point. But the people that he was doing the character assassination on, the people that he was willing to spread far and wide to our director, anybody who would listen to him, he was going to tell what scammers they were and what. I mean, sound familiar? Does this sound familiar to people who follow the TikTok drama? He was going to break that story wide open. Well, there was no story to break, because I learned a lot through my own ordeal here on this platform, and I learned how to shut that crap down fast. My director and I we just had a background check done, an official one. I mean, I already knew I already knew what was on it. That's why I didn't, wasn't afraid to do it. I knew I don't talk to people and get involved in stuff without learning who they are, for crying out loud. I'm not that dense. But we pulled one just to satisfy my covert narcissist. And of course it didn't satisfy him. There's always an excuse beyond that one. But then to repeat the same thing that he repeated so many times, when I needed an answer and he didn't want to cooperate, and he didn't want to listen to reason, and he wanted to blame me, he wanted to gray rock me and go no contact with me because I'm the narcissist. I needed an answer on a business deal, and I'm the narcissist who's disturbing his peace. So let's gray rock Rhonda. Let's go no contact with Rhonda. Let's show her who is in control of this situation. And that's what he did. There will be consequences, sadly. But I'm sharing this experience in hopes that something I've said along the way will register and land appropriately with someone who may be going through something similar, because a covert narcissist is not what you have been conditioned to think a narcissist is. It's something altogether different. And I paid the price for not knowing and not recognizing the signs a lot sooner. Thank you, and ciao.